Hey, and welcome back to the MT Doc podcast. I'm a little shooken up, and I decided that I'm going to do this episode as raw and real as possible because this is what the process is about. It is facing the fear, the pain, the scare, the reality and the grotesqueness of the things. And as I was sitting here in my room, just having some phone calls and moments of gratitude, I was putting on my tefillin, just starting this day, I was approached by one of the doctors who said, literally just walks right into the room and says, "Hey, time to get that thing off." And without even a heads up, it was just yank. And I was like, "Wait, hold on, slow down for a second." They pulled it, started pulling it. I'm like, "Hold on, please give me a moment. First of all, this is really painful." I asked if I could put the camera and film it, so if you want, there is going to be film of it. I'm already giving a heads up. It is a little bit grotesque and gory, so this is not for everyone to watch. However, it was about a 10-minute procedure of cutting off the bandages, of taking off whatever the hell was here, and all of a sudden discovering what was there, and looking at the battle wound scars, just about that long, of long cuts, burns, and everything that they did in order to get through the skull just kind of rocked me, kind of really rocked me. And this is exactly why I said, even now where I'm just in this a bit of an emotional roller coaster, I had to make this episode about the MT Doc. Why? Because it is exactly these moments. This is what this podcast is about. It's about facing the scars while you are facing the scars. Right now, it looks like I have a nice pad gauze, but if you'll see the picture, there is a very nice amount of hemorrhaging, bleeding, and whatnot. But after that whole process, the doctor, the neurosurgeon that took care of me, walked in and had a bit of a discussion with me, talked to me about the procedure, about what went down, and he shared everything. That this was a brain tumor in a shape that usually is not familiar, in a place that they're not necessarily familiar with, which is why they filmed it, which is why he told me that, which is why he told me I will also have the option to see the video later down the line, which I don't know if that's something that is usually revealing or telling or something systematic or not, but yes, this is going to be a very interesting process. Last night, late at night, around 10 p.m., I was taken for an MRI to go and get checked to see how well the procedure go. And he did come back relatively optimistic. He says, "Look, it looks like we got it all out. However, the biopsy still has to do its job," right? The biopsy is the test that says whether the tumor is malignant, meaning cancerous, or it is benign, and it's not. And once again, he reiterated, "Look, we are standing before three different avenues. Avenue one is we got it out, it is benign, and in his words, you are cured," right? I'll go have to see a plastic surgeon. I'll get this Harry Potter-fied and looking all nice and dandy, and maybe I'll make a new logo out of it on my forehead and whatnot. But that's option number one. And if that's the case, then I go back to my normal life within a month's time, and we'll start to get life rolling, and we'll see what happens. Option number two is that it is malignant. And if it comes back malignant, that means it can grow back, and that there is a certain danger to it. And that means that we will have to go through radiology, chemotherapy. These are things that I know nothing about. I know that I know nothing. But option three is that if it is still malignant and we see that that is also not something that is viable, that is helping, then we have to go back for a second round of brain surgery. Now, don't get me wrong. He walked out and I shook his hand, and I was filled with gratitude and excitement and fear and a million things. But I asked him, what about the biopsy? Can you tell me anything? And he says, "Look, there's no reason to ask, because even if you do ask, you won't have an answer." And this is maybe the most important thing that I find myself talking about time and time and time again in regards to mental toughness. We want this stupid, non-logical level of control. We want to know that we control what the outcome, what the scenarios will be. We want to know that I can control what this crazy fucking scar above my eye is going to look like. I want to know that I can go back to living the good quality of life that I had with my wife, my kids, my students, and everything that I did. But there is no control. I said this in episode 1 pre-surgery, that the freedom is in the release of control. That is the deepest freedom that you have, knowing that you have no control whatsoever, and aside from how you decide to respond to what happens to you. And I can tell you truly, honestly, and openly, because I believe in the vulnerability that comes with mental toughness. As soon as he walked out, I sat here in this chair shaking and crying, and I had a moment that I lost it. And that's okay. Mental toughness isn't about holding it together all the time. It's about sometimes falling apart and knowing that you have the tools, the skills, the values, the self-confidence, and the acceptance to put yourself back together and get back. So yes, I have a million things, a million thoughts in my mind. I am still driven by that same decision that I talked about in episode 1, that I know that this is not just about me. This is about making sure that I'm learning to go through this in order to help people more, and is giving me strength. At the same time, I am equally met with a moment of suffering and fear, and it happens, and that's okay. And this is the process where I'm at. So although my eye seems like I went through a round of fighting with Mike Tyson and I don't know what, although the scarring is going to be nice and swollen, and I should be here for the next couple of days in order for them to hopefully heal this up, and we'll see what happens down the line. In about 2 weeks' time, we'll be getting that biopsy test, and that biopsy test will say a lot. It'll tell us what is the next process that stands before us. And no matter what it is, and I'm saying this because, especially in regards to the digital course that I built regarding victory and success, I want to remind you, processes versus finish lines. Finish lines are graveyards. It is the final place that you cross, and there's nowhere to go after that. You're dead, you're done. One more heartbeat and you're out of this world. Processes means at the end of any series of actions, there is a particular outcome. And at the end of that outcome will become a new beginning. So if this process ends that I'm cured, trust me, I'm going to continue my process of being the MT doc and building myself and serving value to the world. If this process ends with it being malignant and this is cancerous, then yeah, we're going into a whole new different place. No one can say anything, and only time will tell. But because that's the case, then I'm going to do everything in my power not to strive for that illusory control that doesn't exist. I'm going to be here. Soon my parents are going to come visit me with a nice hearty breakfast. I'm going to hopefully see my son for the first time today, my eldest son, Yarden, after I haven't seen him in way too long, even before the surgery. And this is the process that I'm going to continue about. I'm going to recover with this thing, and we're going to get back stronger and better. I know this was a short episode. I felt it was real. I felt it was raw. I felt it was necessary to share with you the truth, because yes, mental toughness is about facing the scars, looking at the scars and saying, that's just part of who I am, and I can move with that. So I hope you found some realness, some rawness to this episode. If you do have the heart and guts to see the pictures, I'll add the pictures. I'm warning you, they are a bit grotesque, and it's a little bit hard, especially if you watch the whole unveiling of removing of everything that was removed from my head. However, whatever scars you're facing, whatever challenges you're facing, this is your time to face your scars, to build your mental toughness and progress. Like always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the other side.